Hi, good afternoon. We're Cycle Saver, saving lives through technology. So this is our fabulous, and we're really good at technology. Yeah, we're all brilliant at technology, that's us. So this is the problem. We've got trucks and buses on the roads that are killing cyclists. Now, in the UK, and as a couple of other teams have alluded to, you get 150 accidents, fatalities a year. You get 20,000 collisions a year. You've got an awful lot more that are unreported or near misses, etc. So the idea is to provide a solution that will actually alert drivers and cyclists to imminent collisions through machine learning and clever tech, like on buttons. So this is an example of the Cycle Saver in action. You have a cyclist coming towards, in this case, a car, but it could be a truck or a bus, and it alerts the user visually that there's a cyclist coming ahead. It's not based on proximity, it's based on machine learning and algorithms. So we have a unit on the bike, which is, this is retail unit, and this is the semi-commercial unit. And we have a unit on the truck, similarly to this one. And they're both connected to the internet, and they both are broadcasting up GPS information continuously up to the internet. Our systems online then process that data, identify areas that have high possibility of collisions, and alerts the user on the bike and the driver of the cab of imminent collisions based on the visual feedback and the kind of compass rose situation there. So we have location-specific algorithms. So the idea with machine learning is that we identify areas where there are collisions, or having collisions in the past, and we consider that to be a hotspot and target our algorithms at those areas and identify and targets the cyclists as they're passing into that. Now, the idea is it's not a proximity-based alarm in the sense of a sonar or some sort of RFID or shortwave radio. This is using, this could identify a cyclist to the cab that they are dangerous cyclists, even up to 150 meters away. So, how are we going to commercialize this? The idea is that initially you would take a system like the Dublin bike sharing scheme, or London or Paris, and the bus systems there also, and use those two large groups to initially sell the product to, and then that will give you a certain amount of critical mass, and then there'll be an app associated with it as well that users who aren't actually using the bike scheme, could use to upload information, and gradually you get to a point where you get a certain amount of critical mass, and you develop a system like Waze, which is the car information sharing scheme, which was bought by Google for $1 billion there about a year ago. So we're aiming high. So we have one-off sales of the whole system to the bus companies and to municipalities, to the bike sharing schemes, and also the retail units, which will communicate with, to the internet as well. That will be bought by cyclists, so they don't have to use the phone. The phone doesn't give them visual feedback. It's purely based on just uploading information. The cost of production will be 25 to 30 euro per unit. There are about 30,000 bikes in these bike sharing schemes around Europe alone, and obviously tens of thousands of buses also. So we would expect potentially 60,000 units sold, that generating revenue of some 7.5 to 10 million euro, and there's 4.5 million of that is profit. Obviously you have to pay for operational expenses outside of that. So the route to market would be to initially target some place like Dublin, where obviously we've got a certain amount we know the market. Then to gradually expand to that and identify some place like London, or an area of London, or Paris, or City Bike in the US, and target in a similar way. To work with the sponsors, so Coca-Cola, JC2Co, or City Bike, or, and to work with someone like Dublin Bus and Air Coach, and gradually try to get the HGV truck companies to use it as well. And you can see from our logo here, at the bottom left, and this poster here, we have this idea that buses and trucks would advertise the fact that they are bike aware and bike sensitive. So current technology would be some sort of short range RFID like they have in the UK. But again, if a cyclist is 5 meters away from the truck, that's already too late to identify them as potential conflict situation or a clash. Or our system identifies them from much further away. So our minimum viable product is something similar to what you see here. and gradually we'll expand up from that and develop the algorithms online and data feeds online to gradually become more accurate and more sensitive to monitor our users continuously. Thanks very much. Any questions?
How does someone like Dublin City Council currently monitor traffic or cycle density?
They don't generally track cyclists. They can monitor junctions and visually monitor them based on cameras, but potentially maybe from the cameras associated with buses, but they currently don't identify the number of cyclists. There's actually a company, Map My Run or similar from Map My Bike, and they've actually sold, I saw recently they sold data to a municipality in the States for $20,000 or something, which basically just showed exactly that number of bikes, how frequently they were riding particular areas, where they were going, etc. So there is a market for the data as well as the actual service.
How does it identify a warning?
Oh, so the two units are GPS enabled as well as the phone app. They're uploading information to the internet continuously. And the servers online then are processing that data and identifying potential clashes before they happen. So for instance, the simplest algorithm would be based on proximity. So within 100 meters, identify the location of the bus and the cyclist and target or alert the relevant units. Gradually, machine learning will become more sophisticated as more data will be coming in to identify users, not just based on proximity, but based on speed and existing past behaviour.
Could you see it being integrated physically into the buses?
Buses and trucks already have several dash-mounted displays, if you mentioned phones or GPSs or tachometers, etc. So the bus unit wouldn't be complicated, I don't think. The bike unit, you could integrate that directly into the handlebars, or more work with companies like Social Bikes, who are, I think they got $1.5 to $2 million funding recently. So they work with those manufacturers of bikes.
Is there an ongoing running cost for the bus or truck companies?
There's a certain amount of data being uploaded, but the service would have that cost built into the sale cost of the unit to the retail, and a certain monthly or yearly charge to the bus company. And they could work with large sponsors like Vodafone or O2 to actually sponsor that data consumption. I think I'm getting encouraged here to stop. One last question. There's one for everyone in the audience.